Welcome back to Real Repairs for Real Customers. My name is Rick. On this channel, we try to provide a variety of repairs so that we can cover a variety of repair principles to help us all as mobile techs to be better craftsmen. Today we have a rather unique repair, although it didn't sound like it was going to be at first. A customer had called about a white leather seat that had blue jean dye in it. So of course, I insist that he take a picture and message that to me so that we can look at it specifically and tell him what we can do for him. And so he sent the picture. And in this first picture, we can certainly see the blue jean dye. And of course, he mentioned it was a leather seat. Well, it didn't really look like leather to me necessarily. And so that brings up an interesting topic. When the consumer mentions leather, he can be referring to either leather specifically, as in identifying specifically the substrate, or he can be talking about leather in a generic sense, in a general sense, meaning something flexible that's not cloth. For example, a lady called me about the dash in her car. The leather on my dash is cracking, or the leather on my door panel is peeling. And of course, on that car, it was vinyl, but I understood that she was talking about leather just in a generic sense. So then with the next picture that the fella sent to me, I had an up-close view here of the leather supposed seat, and I could tell that it was vinyl. So just to propel the conversation along in the text, just to get an idea of what we're looking at, I asked the generic question about whether it was vinyl, and just a general question. And so look, he responds that it's leather. So he's not speaking about leather in a generic sense, that it's a flexible seat. He's specifically identifying the seat as leather. And really, how can we blame the consumer for not knowing the difference? After all, in the marketplace, the public is lied to everywhere about what's really leather. How can they know? It's really confusing, isn't it? And we don't expect the consumer to know. And really, the consumer doesn't really care that much about whether it's leather or vinyl. What he's concerned about is, can we fix it? So the only person that it matters, whether it's leather or vinyl to, is us, the technician, because it's going to determine our approach, right? It's going to determine what method that we're going to use to rectify this situation. So we don't debate with the consumer. We don't really expect the consumer to know, but we do want to propel the conversation forward in a positive way. So we never get involved in any argument as far as whether it's vinyl or leather. Just trying to steer the conversation into a positive direction and to build up confidence that we can handle that situation. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to evaluate the substrate here, evaluate our situation. We're going to devise a plan, and then we're going to get to work. So we took delivery of the chair, and it's unlike any chair I've ever seen before. I found out that it's called a throne chair for special events. This picture of the white one is a bit washed out, but here's a green one in the same style. So it turns out the one that we have was used in a birthday party celebration where one of the guests of honor had a brand new blue suit. So I had to look that up too, and it turns out that there is blue denim that's sold as a suit for urban attire. Of course, I don't know much about urban attire, but I do know that curb attire can damage a rim, and that's all I know about that. Now, the customer states he's already tried everything under the sun, including some solvent, and you can see when he started to remove some color, he stopped, and that's when he needed to get in touch with me. And as usual, by the time it gets to me, we have to pull out the big guns, so to speak. Nonetheless, just to satisfy any questions, we are going to try a couple of solutions here to see if we can diminish the blue. So I have a strong degreaser with some peroxide bleach added to it. I'll wet one portion of the seat down with that and keep it wet by keeping a cloth towel on top. And then I have a 2-part commercial stain remover. We'll try that on the other part. And we'll just leave them for several hours. This way I can keep re-wetting the towels. Well, as expected, we didn't make much of any difference. If there was, it's too minimal to detect. And for good measure, we'll give it a scrubbing too. So this is everything that I expected. The blue had penetrated the surface, and the water-based products just cannot get through to it. And that must be why this blue is such a good dye. Now, our inspection of the surface shows that this vinyl has a white pearl added to it. And fortunately for this customer, I do have white pearl in stock. And these are the powders that I keep. I've got gold pearl, white pearl, and silver. And the beauty of keeping these powders is that they can be added into any base whatsoever. They were more popular in the 70s and 80s, and now all of a sudden I get to use them again. And in this application, for a true restoration, we'll be using a total solvent color application. All right. So we can see where the top coat of the vinyl had been cleaned off. And we can see a distinction between the underlying vinyl and the coating on the vinyl. So what I did, get this piece here and show you just this much of it. So this is my stock white color. So it's too white, right? There's some yellow in the vinyl, and it's even a darker tan, right? Like brown added into it here. Okay, so the first thing I did was adjust the color, right? So I put some tan into my stock color, and that's going to be closer relative to our original color. But if we look at the backrest looks even more white than this is our second color here. That's not far. That's not far. Okay? So that's that deal. Now let's look down at my sample again. So I decided, let's see what we can do with adding a white pearl to our color. Now I know we're going to add the pearl to the clear coat, but let's see what effect the white pearl has if we put it in our last coat of color. And so that's what this is. So you can see a difference here between the color and the white pearl. Okay, so that's not bad. And if we compare our white pearl up here, let's go back up here, that's not far off. That's not far off. Bearing in mind that we have a high gloss clear and a pearl to add on top of that. So that's not too far off. That's the preparation that we're making for our color. I think we've got something we can use, especially if we do the whole seat bottom. Now, since the blue has permeated the clear coat that contains the white pearl, we can use a solvent to get all of that clear coat off. And look at the difference on the arm here. The clear, it appears, on the arm and even on the seat has yellowed a bit because I'm turning the camera here, and as we can see on the lower part of the side panel, it's whiter. So it's a little darker here even on top. So maybe the clear has yellowed a bit. Still, I think we're going in the right direction. So really, we are at step 1 of our preparation. I'm using acetone to get all of the clear coat, that is, the clear that contains the pearl. I'm getting all that off the seat. That will take blue with it. Even a scuff pad here helps me get a little bit more aggressive, bring out the big tools for the big job. We won't have to worry about blending the color or blending the clear because we'll do the entire seat bottom. We're going to do the entire arm too, the right arm and the left arm in their entirety. Even here, by being super aggressive, maybe we can get some of the blue from the very surface of the vinyl itself. So that's why we're attacking this several times. And it's making an impact. So that's as far as that process will take us, but we're feeling pretty good about it. Now, in preparation for our color, we're first going to put 2 light coats of stain blocker. Now, it doesn't hurt that the stain blocker is also white. So it just turns out that that's a good advantage here on this particular piece. This is the second coat of stain blocker going on. A little bit more uniformly this time. So that's all I'm going to do on this day. We'll leave it sit overnight. It will dry but still be a little tacky tomorrow. And then we're ready for our white color coat. So I'm putting the color on a piece of vinyl just so that when we get ready to do our pearl, we can do a test of the pearl concentration on that sample piece. So I'm going to go ahead here and put 2 consecutive coats of color. We'll put 1 coat of color on, and before that's even really totally dry, we're going to put another hot coat right on top of that. White pearl. And of course, this is our white pearl test on our sample piece. The mock-up looks pretty good, so let's go.
clear coat.
And of course, the clear that we're using is the same high gloss clear solvent that we used on our white pearl coating. This will just add a protective layer in case there's any pearl exposed on the surface of the last layer. And this will flow out really nicely and give a nice feel to the seat as well. So you've been hearing the fan running throughout. I also have a curtain system that converts this repair area to a spray booth for these big jobs. And especially with solvent systems, it's necessary to exhaust the air so that the overspray does not settle back down on your work and leave a rough surface. And that'll about wrap it up on this episode. I hope you enjoyed that. It was something a little bit different, something interesting. I think I'm about as excited as the customer to see that thing sparkle once again.